Well, everyone, thank you so much for attending. And just to let you know, this session is being live streamed through Facebook. And also, when you're responding to your questions, look right at the camera. Don't look at me. Everyone is watching from home or wherever they are. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm Anita Huberman. I'm President and CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade, and I'm also an honorary captain of the Royal Canadian Navy. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and unceded territory of our Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Kwantlen, Katzie, Semiahmoo, Tawasin First Nations, Kaikut, Coquitlam. As well, we recognize that we are on the land of the Inuit and Métis peoples. Tomorrow is a very important day. It is Truth and Reconciliation Day. In Surrey, we have the largest urban Indigenous population. Tomorrow is about recognizing Canada's past. The discovery of unmarked graves at residential schools across our nation has shocked and horrified Canadians. And the Indigenous community, they have long expected such revelations. Tomorrow, on National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, it's an effort to promote awareness and the education of the residential school system and the impact it has had on Indigenous communities for over a century. The impact of the residential school system has been recognized as a cultural genocide and continues to this day. And that's why we continue to recognize the land or the territory on which we are on. And for many Indigenous people, it marks a small but essential step towards the needed reconciliation that we need to have with our Indigenous communities. It's an important element for a territorial acknowledgement as an activation of our beautiful Indigenous culture, and to think about how we are going to forge a path forward, an economic path forward together. It's about thinking what happened in the past and what changes can we make together going forward to further that reconciliation process. So tomorrow, please wear your orange shirt. There are many activities taking place in Surrey. There's one in the afternoon starting at 1 o'clock at Holland Park. And I encourage you to educate yourselves on what has happened and to talk to our Indigenous communities. Thank you so much. So tonight, the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Asian Business Association, also known as SABA, are pleased to co-host tonight's Surrey City Councillor Dialogue. Thank you so much to our series presenting sponsor, the amazing Isle of Man IOM Property Group. A round of applause, please. Thank you so much also to the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. And thanks to all of you for attending tonight. Yes. So in person or from digital means, thank you so much for being here with us. The Surrey Board of Trade, we are Surrey's city building business organization. We're one of the top 10 largest chambers of commerce boards of trades in the country. There's 430 of us, and our mandate is to support business, bring business into the city. And today it is our role as Surrey citizens, as Canadians, to instigate change at the different levels of government, to ensure that we are learning on what is happening on the various issues that impact our everyday life and our everyday business as entrepreneurs. So I wanted to just say also that both the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Asian Business Association, we both have the value, as I'm sure all of you do, that voting is a privilege. Voting connects citizens with their political process. The simple act of marking a ballot tells our leaders what we think about decisions that affect our lives. By respectfully agreeing or disagreeing with our leaders, we show that the political system can accept differing points of view and we can resolve them. A democratic community can only survive if its citizens see participation in the political process as a duty and a responsibility. I encourage all of you to vote on October 15th. There are advanced voting options that begin on October 5th. And I encourage you to check out the Elections BC website for more information. We all know that Surrey is going to be the largest city in British Columbia. It's an economic powerhouse, and we need to ensure that everyone is participating in our democratic voting system. Our co-host, the South Asian Business Association, they're a group of volunteers that work towards the betterment and improvement of existing South Asian businesses in British Columbia. They work towards giving back to our community, promoting social responsibility by business leaders in our amazing South Asian communities. 30% of Surrey's population is comprised of South Asians, and we're so pleased of our ongoing partnership and rapport with the South Asian Business Association. So a round of applause for them, please. And we all know that Surrey has an amazing and thriving development and construction sector. And the Isle of Man Property Group, IOM Property Group, as we know them, they're an amazing city builder within this city. So please help me welcome for a few remarks, Mr. Rick Mann of IOM Property Group.
Can everybody hear me okay? All right, so unlike me, I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet. That was a joke. All right, local municipal elections, who's excited? I'm excited. You know, as Anita mentioned, I'm Director of Development over at IOM Developments. I'm also a sitting member on the Surrey Board of Trade. Today I come in a different capacity. Today I decided to come as a member of the community. So when the opportunity came to sponsor an event like this, it was a no-brainer for us. In the past, I myself have been guilty of not learning enough about the leaders, the potential leaders in our community and what they stand for. And that was a responsibility that I knew that I had to shift. So I am so proud to partner up with Saba and the Surrey Board of Trade to help facilitate the conversation and to learn more about what each of you bring to the table. So I encourage all of you standing there, and I applaud all of you. You guys have seen something that you want to change and you've decided to do something about it. Whether you're an incumbent or you're a prospective, I applaud you. Please, a round of applause for everybody standing there. And to those sitting in the audience and watching on live, to echo what Anita said, it is our duty, it is our right to vote. If we are not part of the solution, then we cannot complain about the problems. We don't care who you vote for, as long as you get out, learn about who they are, learn about the platforms, learn about the leaders, and do something about it. So without that, I'm so proud of the people. I've had a great chance to meet a lot of you and learn more about you. I couldn't be more proud as a member of the community about the leaders that are standing in front of us. And just another round of applause for them for taking a stand. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick, for your support. We really appreciate it. So let's begin. For tonight's Councillor Candidate Dialogue, we have 21 candidates on the stage, and they're running for this year's Surrey local election campaign. They're going to be responding to questions that we've gathered in advance from our teams at the Surrey Board of Trade, from the community, from the South Asian Business Association. And given the tight time frame that we have, and to ensure that you understand the perspectives of each of the councillor candidates, we have collated them into a set of broad-based issue questions. So each candidate, as mentioned before, has been given a number from 1 to 4. I'm going to call out a number and you're going to go to your microphone and then a question will be posed to you. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to the question. Our timekeeper is Jasroop Gosal, who put this whole event together. So a round of applause to him. And he's our amazing policy and research manager at the Board of Trade. So Jasroop, as our timekeeper, is going to hold up a yellow folder at the 45-second mark, and that will give candidates 15 seconds to finish their comments. And then I will move on to the next speaker to continue responding to that same question. So the other thing that's going to happen is, in addition to the questions, we're going to have a quick round of one-on-one towards the end of the program. Each candidate in each group cluster will have an opportunity to ask one other candidate one question. And again, the response time is 1 minute. And we'll finish the program with 2-minute closing remarks from each of the candidates. So let me introduce you to those candidates that are running. This is not all of them within our city, but many of them are representative of the slates or the independent candidates that are running in Surrey. So first, I'm not going to go in order on stage, but we have Philip Aguirre. Just stand as your name is called. Philip. Linda Annis. Mike Bowes. Bilal Chima. Ajit Mahat. Nav Denoya. Lori Guerra. Gordon Hepner. Ramona Captain. Joe Kennedy. Paul Orizetti. Allison Patton. Cam Pawar. Kalwinder Saini. Jasbir Sandhu. Julie Tapley. Mary M. Waddington. Becky Zhao. Stuart Drysdale. Rena Gill. Jody Tour. And I'd also like to recognize some city councilor candidates not participating on stage are John Chabot and Deborah Antefave. Let's give them a great round of applause. It takes great courage to run for political office. So thank you so much for committing your time to this democratic process. So both the Surrey Board of Trade and the South Asian Business Association wish you well in this election. So let's begin with group number 1. And Jody, you're going to be part of group number 1. So ones, if you can approach the microphone, please. And some of you may have to share a microphone. All right. So the first question is from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. In light of numerous examples of businesses and residential developments waiting 12+ months for approvals, the BC government has published roadmaps for addressing issues of housing affordability through the Development Approvals Process Review and the BC Canada Expert Panel on the Future of Housing Supply. If you are elected, group number 1, what measures of that expert panel report or the development process review would you do to ensure that development approvals are streamlined? And we heard about David Eby's plan on housing yesterday. If you're elected, how are you going to expedite those developments? So microphone number one, starting with Linda.
Sorry, I'm just a little bit short in case you didn't notice. And I'm sharing with probably the tallest person in the room. Thank you very much for the question. We have a lot that we need to do to improve our process through our planning department. We've got great staff there, but unfortunately the process is way too complicated. We need to do a number of things. First of all, we need to have a strategy in place where we can address housing for people that need affordable housing. We need to work with not-for-profits to remove some of the development fees and permitting fees so they can do it in an affordable way. We also need to get some sort of a concierge service so that when developers or builders are going to City Hall to try to get their permits approved, they're not jumping from one department to the other and then getting sent back home again to redo their permitting process because the process isn't clear. That needs to be much more streamlined. We also need to be looking at, do we really need to have engineers recertifying drawings?
Next candidate, please. Ajit.
Well, can I just say that I agree with everything Linda has said and what she was about to say. So it'd be redundant for me to add anything more, but I will say this. I think there's two good levers that the municipal government has at its hand. One is the zoning and rezoning process, and the other one is the permitting process. And both of those need to be looked at in tandem. On the zoning, in terms of looking at perhaps old assumptions about what created the zones in the first place. There's been demographic changes. There's been structural changes in many parts of the community. So one of the things that I think we may need to do is to go have a look at, are those zones still relevant, or can we zone more smartly? And then secondly, in terms of the process itself, the permitting process, I think we can't tinker at the margins. I think we need a fundamental transformation, and that's going to require.
Next candidate, please, Jody.
Thank you for the question.
Just, she's asking to introduce yourself again.
Hi, I'm Jody and I'm running with Surrey Forward, Janine Sims as mayor. To your question for affordability, I think that we need a streamlined plan. We need a transparent plan that makes the process easier once in city. And we need to have development plan as well that makes the shortage of housing, working with development planning so that the shortage and demand has been filled to cover the affordability.
Thank you. Next candidate. Maybe go to the other microphone that's working.
Okay, does this work?
Yes,
I guess
it does.
Anyways, then, okay, thank you for the question. My name is Cole Wintersany and I'm running, with Surrey First. It was affordable housing which, drew me into this race. If what we did, yes, we do need more affordable housing. If one, we need to work with developers so we can give them incentives. That if they wish to build more high-rise and more towers, we can work with them to say that, okay, if you wish to build an extra floor, then you must build more, right, with the more co-op and social housing for those that need it the most. And yes, of course, we do have to streamline the permit and the developing process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Hi, my name is Stuart Drysdale with Safe Surrey Coalition. We need to increase inventory and we need to do it quickly. So what we've done is we've developed a plan where we will have 5 block houses where someone can go in, they can choose a house, and in 2 weeks, they'll turn around and get their permits. We want affordable housing at all levels, middle class and down. And the only way to do it is to increase the inventory. And we're the party to do it because we have a plan to fast track it and lean on technology to get that done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Thank you. My name is Joe Kennedy. I'm running with the People's Council of Surrey. I think the question was specifically what we would implement from the reports. I'm not familiar with reports. I'm not a politician by trade. But obviously, we do need to streamline things, make it much faster, whether that be hiring more staff, working through bottlenecks within the staff to find out what the slowdowns are. One thing that Surrey currently is doing on the environment front is they are at a step 3 housing for energy, which can add prices to housing. It can add up to $50,000 in 2017 numbers to the final price of house. That includes condos and all the rest. Right now, Surrey has made it mandatory. I would like to make it optional so that people can choose to make it to decide what they want to pay. On top of that, it should streamline when there's bottlenecks within the supply chain. Often builders are waiting for parts and pieces that are not coming in and are tied by that step 3 process.
Thank you so much. Group number 1, you may be seated. And group number 2, you may approach the microphones as you see fit. All right, so your question is related to taxation. Our business community has been faced with significant tax increases. And if you're elected to office, how would you take a look at taxation within our city of Surrey? Philip, over to you.
Great. My name is Philip Aguirre. I'm running with Surrey Ford and Ginny Sims. As a certified professional accountant, I know how expensive it is for small business to survive in the city. And when taxations rise year after year, it makes it difficult for business to thrive. We want to ensure we give an environment that is and that supports and encourages them to thrive. Now, taxes, I own a small business, I own a property. I paid $55,000 in taxation last year alone. And we need to ensure that that's not going to get out of control. As the treasurer of BIABC, it's a provincial body, we've been lobbying to ensure that taxation gets some representation as well. I know that the Surrey Board of Trade has been an advocate to ensure that the vote for small business is something that we consider.
Thank you. Next candidate.
I am Nav Danoya and running as an independent. In regards to taxation, you have to think about what you're getting for your taxes. First of all, we have the police force issue. People are still reluctant whether we want our CMP or the Surrey police force. And this election is about that as well. You get what you pay for. If you look at our population, we are approaching Vancouver's population of 600,000 people. When you compare the police force, is 1,200 officers in Vancouver, it's 800 in Surrey. So we are short actually 350 officers already. Now, in terms of taxation, we are not increasing taxation, but if you consider the CPI index, we go along with it, 2% increase in taxes, nominal, but look at what you're getting for your buck. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Thank you. My name is Ramona Captain, and I'm running with Surrey Connect. I'm on the Surrey Board of Trade Tax and Finance Committee, and I've been learning a lot about taxes. I think what we need to do is seriously look at where we're putting the money that taxpayers are giving us. We need to have a really good audit. We can't make huge promises that then we possibly cannot keep. And we have to look at what our electorate wants, what our taxpayers want. Do they want a stadium? Do they want a new police force? We need to listen to who gives us their money. It's not our money. It's not the council's money. It's your money that we're dealing with here. And that's what we need to be very, very careful with. We're not just going to spend it, here and there and everywhere. We need to know what you want.
Next candidate, please.
My name is Camp War. I'm running as an independent candidate. As we heard the other candidates, I think I'm pretty much aligned that we need to streamline the taxation process with the residential and commercial taxation. We need to look at the policies. We'll look at the funds that we're getting from the public and use it properly in essence of where the business is growing and attract new businesses into the city. If the taxes are aligned properly, we need to work together to function to get the businesses into the city, please. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miriam Waddington. I'm running with Surrey First and Gordy Hogue. I work in the nonprofit sector, so I don't actually pay any business taxes to the municipality. So this is a little bit outside of my sphere, but the conversations we're having at the Surrey First table are around transparency. And it's very important for governing bodies to be very transparent with the electorate, with the residents who live in the cities in terms of what they're doing with tax dollars, how it's being spent, are those resources being best allocated to serve the needs of the community with our roads and with our rec centers, and having an audit and a full understanding so that residents are clear and council is clear is in everyone's best interest. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Group 2, you can be seated, please. And group 3, you are next. Please approach the microphones. So your question is related to if you're elected in this election, how are you going to create an economic and jobs plan for Surrey? Mike.
Good question. First thing we have to do is look at what we have. What we have is we have a vibrant agricultural sector. We need to go out and attract agricultural processing, food processing companies so that we can build on that agricultural sector. And that will bring in other technologies. Agriculture, ag tech is a burgeoning field. And there are ag tech companies that want to settle in Surrey, but we have not been able to find them a place to settle. We need to create an ag industrial zone where we can settle ag tech and grow the agricultural industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lori Guerra, and I'm running with the Safe Surrey Coalition. Surrey is open for business. We are bringing a $4 billion SkyTrain project to come down the Fraser Highway, and that is coming sooner than we think. We are going to be densifying around that transit corridor, which saves on our environment. It gets rid of cars off the streets. And we're also going to be providing housing for individuals on a much higher scale than we are now, because we will be able to put high rises in. We are also going to be looking at density bonusing for our big high rises. And we're going to be giving developers and builders incentives to have lower density bonusing when we create our rental properties. So that is one of the ways. There's many ways that we're going to be doing it, but that's one of them.
Next candidate.
Without further ado, my name is Paul Rossetti, and I'm with the Cloverdale Business Improvement Association. Development is the key to getting the city on its feet. Right now, we love to compare ourselves to the city of Vancouver. Population-wise, we're getting there, but business-wise, they have 2.4 million square feet of office space, and we have 200,000. In the city of Langley and the township, if you look at their business licenses per person, they match what the city of Vancouver has. And the city of Vancouver has twice as many business licenses we do. They have 50,000 compared to our 19,030. So economic development will get the city back on the road. And there's a variety of different ways of doing that. So in doing this right now, some of the things that we've talked about, even with the Consul General from Pakistan, was a free trade zone. There's a number of elements that we need to focus on to get the higher end developers, change the vibrancy of the city to encourage the high-tech people to come.
Next candidate.
Thank you. My name is Jasbir Sandhu. I'm running with United Surrey, so Polyvaults. Surrey is open for business. No, it's open for insiders. For the last 4 years, we've had these permits that it takes 8 months, 9 months to get a single family home unit built. And it takes many more years to get a multi-family unit built for an average person. However, if you're an insider, yes, Surrey is open for you. This council has been so divisive and has been so destructive. They have not cared for the small businesses. What we need to do is speed up the permitting business. I heard earlier on that we have a plan. Where was the plan the last 4 years ago? We have a plan, 3 days for renovation permit, 3 weeks for single family unit approvals, and 3 months for a multi-family unit approvals.
Next candidate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rena Gill. I'm running as an independent candidate for council. I am a business owner. I have been running my own full-service boutique marketing agency for the past 15 years. I'm a huge advocate of attending conferences, exhibitions, networking with other business like-minded people. And so I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. Part of my platform is building an event center in Surrey so that we can host these types of events. And what will that do, folks? That will bring more business from outside of Surrey into Surrey. And once they see our wonderful city of Surrey, maybe there's potential for them to expand their offices here and thus creating new jobs. So that would be part of my platform and one of my plans.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you so much. And group number 4, you can approach the microphones. All microphones are working now, I've been told. All right. Your question is related to the growing homelessness issue that we are facing. And homelessness is a result, usually because of addiction or mental health, the wraparound supports that we need to really ensure that every single person in this economy matters. So if you are elected, how would you address that issue in our city? Bilal.
Thank you for the question. Thank you to Surrey Board of Trade, and thank you for Saba for hosting this event here for us tonight. It's collaboration. It's talking to people. We don't have the solutions as a city, but we do have the ability to speak to other levels of government and bring them to the table and make sure that those that are fighting the fight in our city are at the table as well, meaning our partners, our stakeholders, those that are doing the heavy lifting with little to no resources. They need to be at the table. We can't do this alone. And right now, what's happening is there's many people who have wonderful ideas, want to make a contribution, but the doors at City Hall are shut and they're not included. So I would say that no one individual organization level of government has all the answers. We need to collaborate and we need to bring people together because our future depends on it.
Next candidate.
Good evening. My name is Gordon Hepner. I have been running a business for some time now down in the city of Surrey. I'm a notary and I know a little bit about issues regarding the homelessness and the crisis we are having regarding the mental health issue that is plaguing our city. Currently, we have one car 67, that is dealing with some of the mental health issues that is with the RCMP. I believe that that car runs from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. So if you have a mental health issue, it better be between those hours. So that's something we should be petitioning our city for and the provincial government. Secondly, as far as the homeless issue that is currently at our doorstep, we need to find accommodation for such individuals. And that would mean that we would bring.
Next candidate, please.
I'm Allison Patton with the Safe Surrey Coalition, and we'll continue to do what we have been doing over the last 4 years. We've have 5 modular houses now in Surrey, and we've been working to get the other 2 up and running, but we still have to pick locations. So last night we were at the South Surrey event, and it looks like South Surrey is ready for modular housing now. So we'll be getting on with that after the election. And we still have to pick a site in Cloverdale. One of the best sites we have is up and running Foxglove, which is a model in North America. It has a complex care unit that is wraparound. Those individuals that are meant to be in the hospital, but also have multiple addictions and also have mental health issues are able to be in Foxglove, and they're protected, they're safe, they're cared for round the clock. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Hi, I'm Julie Tapley and I'm with United Surrey. I think the reactive policies are helpful, but I'm a teacher by trade and I think addressing the proactive stance is very important. What do I mean by that? Targeting our youth, looking at recreation facilities, looking at schools, looking at the community, bylaw officers, having more people on the ground. And one of our platform issues that we've looked at is introducing a 48-hour under response time for all calls for residents. And I think that those are very important in involving citizens, having ongoing dialogue to see what's important so that we can be proactive first and foremost. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll do one more round and then we'll do the one-on-one. So group number one, approach the microphones, please. So we need Surrey to be a destination. We need cultural, tourism, art assets. We need our young people to be able to play in Surrey. If you're elected, what tourism, art, culture assets would you prioritize? Linda.
Thank you very much. That's a really easy question for me. I'm very supportive of the arts and particularly getting our youth involved in it so that our youth can make healthy choices and get involved in great activities. What I would propose if my council group gets in, which I hope they sure do, is building an arts and cultural center right here in downtown Surrey. So our kids from Surrey don't have to go to Vancouver to study music, to do art classes or whatever it is. We need it right here in Surrey and we need a performing arts center as well. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Ajit Mehat running for under Surrey First with Gordy Hogue and company. And Jagrup, I'll try not to ignore you this time. I'll keep my eye on you. So I'm not going to add to, I mean, I will add to what Linda has said, but I won't repeat what she said. One of the things that really interests me and intrigues me is that we call ourselves a multicultural city, and we are. We have such diversity, and yet we don't necessarily take advantage of that diversity in terms of arts and culture. I mean, we have the Vaisakhi parade in Surrey is the largest Vaisakhi parade outside of India. And that's something to be, something to reckon with and something to leverage. And that's not just the South Asian community. We have other diverse ethnic minorities that represent the demography of Surrey. And we need to make sure that they are included in that endeavor.
Thank you. Next candidate.
I agree with Linda as well, and as well as G. Living in Surrey, being a multicultural city, we highly need an arts facility. I have a daughter that dances, and unfortunately, every time there's a recital, we have to go to Vancouver because we don't have any accommodation for dance facilities. Having Vaisakhi or Bhangra performances, most of the competitions happen in Vancouver, shows, cultural shows, just because we're not able to facilitate the space for the amount people go out to Langley or Abbotsford because Surrey doesn't have anything to facilitate. So I think that we need an arts center for sure.
Next candidate.
Oh, I mean, no, Hovind is saying from Surrey First. Yes, I agree that, yes, look, we do need more, I mean, right, cultural spaces here. And I mean, no, yes, we are a multicultural city, but here's the thing. Right now, the city is lacking. We need more green space. We need more recreational spaces. So our kids can play in, so our parents can enjoy the parks in the evening. You know, we don't need to send them out to Vancouver. We look, you know, we're to Burnaby. Let's make them stay here in Surrey.
Next candidate.
You're right. We need lots of things, Surrey. The one thing that we need, and one of the biggest aspects to come, is sports tourism. We need to invest in our fields. We need to invest in our stadiums because that's what's coming. Next weekend, we have the U17 Nationals here for soccer. In 2 years, we are granted the men's fast pitch international world's championship. And why? Because Surrey is becoming a destination city for sports. So we need to invest in our city. We need to invest in our recreation centers and our sporting facilities to keep our kids busy, keep them off the streets. And that's where it is, it's sports tourism. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Hey, Joe Kennedy with People's Council Surrey. Our party is based on honesty, transparency, and freedom. So I think the best thing that we can do is not spend your money on these things, but actually encourage businesses and make it as easy as possible for businesses to be able to fulfill that through a free market. Lower taxes, obviously, and make it attractive for businesses to be able to just do what they do best for families and people within those families to pursue what they find meaningful. It's one thing for Surrey to say that they're going to spend a whole lot of money to fix things, but ultimately it comes down to your money. And I would much rather leave that in the business's hands where they can stay competitive and offer the best quality product and best value for you as Surrey residents.
Thank you. Group number 1, you may be seated. Group 2. Group number 2, please approach the microphones. Let's talk about transportation. The cities of Vancouver, Richmond, Burnaby can fit in the geographic limits of our city. If you're elected, what will your transportation priorities be? Philip.
Well, I'm the executive director of the Newton Business Improvement Association for the last 8 years, and we've been advocating for better transportation throughout the entire city. King George Boulevard needs to be a priority. Newton needs to be a priority. We're now going to spend up to $6 billion going down Fraser Highway to a community of Fleetwood where the community association doesn't want it, to the business association that doesn't want it. There's 160,000 people that live in Newton alone. 33% of the businesses that are in Surrey are right in Newton. We need to invest down King George. We need to improve that investment all the way to the Newton Town Center. There is no money left for that idea. However, we can improve the rapid bus structure that's there. We can improve painting the roads and ensuring that rapid bus is a priority for those communities. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Hi, I'm Nav Danoya. I'm an independent candidate, and my thoughts on transits are, if you want people to leave their cars, you have to give them the option of transit, SkyTrain, for example. Now think about where the Scott Road station is. Imagine a train going from Scott Road, all along Scott Road, turning on 72 Avenue, going back up on King George Highway to the King George SkyTrain station. It's called the Surrey Loop. Now, once you do that, you can build along that route all over the place. You can give people the option whether they want to live in an apartment building, use the SkyTrain to go to work, and go to Langley if they want, when the Langley SkyTrain station and the route is built. Does it cost money? Absolutely it does. It's public and private venture with developers, with federal government, with the province. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Ramona Captain with Surrey Connect. Transportation is my greatest love. I worked for the Ministry of Transportation and Communications in Ontario when we did the Go Transit double deckers, and we had Go Dial-a-Bus, Go Taxi, many different forms of transit that would really appeal to people and be really easy to use. Here in Surrey, I'm on several committees with the Surrey Board of Trade. I'm on the Transportation Committee. I'm also the chair of Seniors on the Move, the Seniors Advisory Committee of Seniors on the Move. And I believe that what we need to do with transit is really look at what people want. Having sky trains is not the answer because that's almost an outdated facet. We really need to look at rapid bus.
Next candidate.
Hi, this is Cam Pawar, independent candidate. Of course, I think that transit is a big issue right now, transportation, of course, and we got a bottleneck. City of Surrey is turning on a bottleneck, and in order to resolve the issue, we need to have more faster bus services in line King George or 132nd Street, 128th Street has been bottleneck. Find the solutions for that, and we, of course, need more transportation access towards the city either way. Thank you.
Next candidate.
My son went to Victoria today and he took the bus. And when he was mapping out his route, he realized it was going to take him 2 hours to get from our home in Clayton to the Tsawwassen bus terminal. That's longer than the actual ferry ride. So what I would like to see is not more SkyTrain or big infrastructure pieces. I want to see more small community buses that take us to those main community hub, those main transit lines, so that we don't have to drive cars to get to the transit that we want to take. We need to get people out of their cars and onto public transit. And by making it more accessible and cutting down our route times, we will be better able to achieve that.
Thank you. You may be seated. And group number 3, please approach the microphones. All microphones are working, by the way. So if you're elected in this election season, what will your public safety priorities be? Knowing that public safety is also important to the business community. Mike.
If I'm Mike Bose, running with Gordy Hogan, the Surrey First Team. In the first 60 days, we want to do a forensic audit to see what's been spent on the policing transition, where we are in that process, how much is left to complete it, and how much it's going to cost. And then we want to go out to the public and give them the opportunity to have a say. That could just be town hall meetings, but giving the public the real information that hasn't been forthcoming to this point. Secondly, we need 300 more police officers, and we need them now. We haven't hired new police officers since 2018. We also need 60 new firefighters. We are growing at a rate where we need 1 new firefighter every month, and we don't have them. We're getting burned out. If we have 2 major calls in this city, we have to go out to Langley, White Rock, or Delta to get the second call covered. So we need to hire more professionals in public safety, and thank you, Jasroot.
Next candidate.
Thank you. Lori Guerra with the Safe Surrey Coalition. In 2018, I campaigned on 3 huge promises. One of them was replacing the RCMP with the Surrey Police. The other one was SkyTrain instead of LRT, and the third one was smart development. On November 5th, our inaugural night in council, this council, the present council and mayor, voted unanimously, and I'll say enthusiastically, in favor of not only transitioning from the RCMP to the Surrey Police, but canceling the RCMP contract. That was the actual motion, the wording of the motion. And the very next day that was done. We have spent a lot of time in council this year with animosity towards that, but I want to say that I'm proud of the fact that I stayed true to my word, and as a politician, or as a human being, I think that's the only thing that we have.
Next candidate. Sorry about that.
Public safety, Paul Orzetti, Surrey First. Public safety is critical. We are, and my partner here, Philip, are part of the Business Improvement Association. And within the last 2 weeks, 70 businesses downtowns all came together and said, we're in a bit of a crisis with public safety, and it's an issue that we have to work with both the provincial and federal government. What's going on is unprecedented. We've come through a pandemic. There's a lot of people who've fallen through the cracks. So some of the most immediate things right now would be to have a foot patrol of police officers in the town centers and in the city center. There's a number of people who are their own worst enemy that need support, help. They need to get off the street. So a lot of this now is housing will also help with public safety, because you're going to get people who don't have to go out and steal it to feed their habits and things like that.
Thank you. Next candidate.
My name is Jasbir Sandhu. I'm with Surrey United with Suk Paliwal as a mayoralty candidate. Public safety is a very serious issue. Unfortunately, this council and the mayor has made it into a political football. They have divided our community. They have pitted one against the other. They have pitted one uniform color against the other. I have worked with the RCMP. I have worked with local police officers at the Justice Institute for 14 years. And I can tell you The color of the uniform they wear, it does not matter. They are fully committed. I want to thank the RCMP and the Surrey Police Services for providing the service that they're providing to us. We have a plan. We will move forward with the transition. The only difference will be transparent and accountable, unlike this mayor at council. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Hello, everyone. Rena Gill, Independent Counsel. I'm going to look at it from a perspective of businesses dealing with folks that are homeless and dealing with mental health issues. It's not their fault. They are addicted to drugs. We have an opioid crisis, mental health issues. They need help. So first and foremost, I work with a lot of nonprofit organizations and community organizations. I would provide more funding to them so that they can help the people that are on the streets who are homeless and suffering from mental health and drug addictions. And that would help the businesses because a lot of these people are loitering outside of their offices. So we need to be more compassionate from that perspective. And to speak on the police situation, we have 2 policing structures currently. I understand with the pandemic, there were delays, but right now we're paying for 2 policing structures. We need to solve this ASAP. A lot of the community is wondering about costs. We need to be clear about costs. We need to make a decision going into this election. Which one are we going with? And I'm very excited to know that.
Thank you. You may be seated. And group number 4, if you can approach the microphones, please. A third of Surrey's population is under the age of 19. And we know that climate change is a very real issue for them, as it is for all of us that live in Surrey. If you're elected, what would be your climate change priorities? Bilal.
Thank you so much. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Bilal Chima, and I'm running with Gordy Hogue and the Surrey First Team. The environment, we see the impacts locally. We've seen them on the other side of this country. We're seeing them in other parts of the world. We see government taking action, talking about these plans. Are we taking advantage of the monies and the programs that are available at different levels of government? Are we even talking to those people locally who have lived experience and professional experience around dealing with climate change and its effect and its impacts on us? Are we looking at every development at City Hall through the lens of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? We don't need to reinvent anything. We just need to look around and see what's the best practices and incorporate them and open up City Hall to those advocates that can come and give us.
Next candidate.
In the city of Surrey, we have one of the youngest workforces in the province. That means there's opportunity, an opportunity for business, and for opportunity in that business to actually have climate change activism. And that activism would in turn into tax revenue. It would allocate certain items to the city for environmental programs. And we would also implement at Surrey Connect, I believe we would also implement hiring staff to liaise with the actual DFO, which has been eliminated by the current administration. Further to that, there would be a specialized climate activist in the city in order for us to deal with things that would be pursuant to streams that would be running through the city, setbacks for those streams, and of course, the streams that would be bearing into the ocean. That would be more of an expertise into another candidate of mine, which is Sebastian.
Next candidate.
I'm Allison Patton with the Mayor McCallum and the Safe Surrey Coalition. I make it a point of asking every young person what they think it would be the best thing for climate change. The number one answer is transportation. In the last election, we implemented our SkyTrain plan. And actually, when we were going to Clayton last time doing our community outreach at the last election, we found out that SkyTrain had been promised to Clayton 20 years ago. And so we've finally been able to deliver it at $4 billion. And now we're headed to Newton. So we've fulfilled that with the young people. They want transportation. And another thing that we did this past 4 years was get rid of plastic bags, which was well received by the business community. Walmart has taken it up across Canada. And look at Darts Hill Garden as it gets built out. It's the greenest community we have. It's getting built out, 10,000 homes in South Surrey. And the standards are very high. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Julie Tapley, United Surrey. I'm not a current city councillor. And so in a short time, when you come up with policy around current issues, you do polling, and the 5 main issues are not the one we're talking about right now. So I won't claim to have an answer, but as a teacher and an educator myself, children, young people, we can look to what's important to them. They value climate change. We can look to our experts. I think the competitive advantage that United Surrey has is has to be dollars behind implementing strategy, and Sook Dollywall has access to federal funds. It's a phone call away. It's resources that have not been tapped into, and I think that's a huge competitive advantage. Obviously, there has to be dialogue with experts in the area so that we can come up with a policy, but to have that first and foremost, that is where I would begin. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. So group number 1, please approach the microphones. So in this round, you are going to select one other person on stage that is standing and ask them a question. And sometimes what happens in this process is the same person is always asked a question. But that's okay. This is a democracy, and so we have to deal with it. So Linda, you choose your person and ask your question.
Thank you, Anita. I'll ask a question to Stuart. Stuart, could you talk a little bit about what you would do if elected to protect our environment?
What I would do to protect the environment. Again, I'm going to follow the same thing. I'm not an expert in the environment, but definitely transportation is a key issue. Getting people out of their cars, and on public transit. That's what my concentration would be.
Next candidate.
Ajit Mehat, Surrey First, Gordy Hogue. I'm going to ask Judy a question. In terms of
Jody. It's Jody.
Oh, Joe?
Oh, no.
Jody or Judy?
Judy. Judy?
Okay.
Jody, I'm sorry. Jody. The last set of questions were about public safety. And what I'd like to get a sense from you is what is the role of the not-for-profit sector in the issue of, or dealing with the issue of public safety?
We would work with nonprofit organizations because they work with a lot of people that have mental health issues and unemployment, or be it homelessness. So if we can work with their committees and their groups, I think that we can overcome that issue.
Jody, your question.
My question is for Stuart. It is that City Hall has been closed to the citizens, and the reason for that, because one of our platforms is openness and transparency. Leaders can't make good decisions for our community when we don't allow members to take part in decision making.
Well, I'd have to disagree with you that the city council's been closed. I've been at those meetings and I've sat through long public hearings. So unfortunately, I'll have to disagree, and I don't have an answer for you because I didn't see that. Thanks.
Next candidate.
Thank you. My question is to Stuart as well. Stuart, you're a popular guy. Anyways, my question is that you talk about openness and transparency, but it was your party and your mayor which banned people from attending council meetings. Why is that? I mean, how is that in,
So we're talking about the 7 that were banned. So the ones that continuously disrupt council meetings, the ones that continuously disrespected the mayor and council by screaming out and having outbursts.
True, sir.
Well, no, I wouldn't say
You
that.
banned-
They went,
how is
they
that
went up much
democratic?
Let
farther.
Stuart respond to the
You asked
question,
I'm
please.
responding to it. These are the people that stood up in council, fingering council, swearing at council, And then the question is, why were they not allowed in council? If you want to conduct yourself properly and with decorum, come to council. You're more than welcome. If you're not going to conduct yourself properly and by the rules, then you'll be asked to leave.
Stuart, your question, please.
My question is down for Linda. Linda, back on the inaugural meeting for public safety, you unanimously were part of voting. You were not part of the Save Surrey Coalition being elected, the only Surrey First, but you unanimously agreed with replacing the RCMP. So why did you on that day vote for that?
Thank you very much. And that's a great question for me because I actually come from a public safety background. I run the Crime Stoppers program for the Lower Mainland Policing District. So I deal with all forms of policing. I thought what we were going to be doing is developing the best policing model possible and costing it out and going through a proper consultation with our residents. And clearly that did not happen. And that's why I do not support the transition.
Joe.
I have a question for the United Surrey, if we have a representative up here. No, okay. Yeah, that'd be wonderful if you could. My question is, Justin Trudeau, when referencing unvaccinated people, said, and I quote, that a small group of people who don't believe in science, they are often misogynistic, also often racists too. It's a small group, but they take up space. And now we have to make a choice as a leader, as a country. Do we tolerate this people?
Who is your question to?
Going to be to Suk Dhaliwal's party of United Surrey.
There is no one on stage. You have to select a candidate on stage.
My question is for, okay,
That's standing on stage.
okay. Then I will go for Surrey Forward with Ginny Sims' party. The question is for anyone that's truly making huge promises, but I'll direct it specifically to the Surrey Forward candidate. Ginny Sims is a member of the NDP and current MLA. During the mayoral debate last night, Ms. Sims called for an affordability component built into every future development in Surrey. This would be offered to house those suffering from mental health problems, drug addiction, and low-income populations. She also promised complete wraparound services to support them. These promises sound great during an election, but will cost an exorbitant amount of money and will inevitably be passed on to the buyers, to the renters, subsidized through higher taxes within the city, or through inflation by asking the federal government to print more money. All these things will disproportionately hurt the very people you're trying to help. When housing is such an issue within Surrey, how does your party expect to pay for all these promises?
Thank you for the question. Social services. We will partner with social services.
So this is not a rebuttal. She responded to your question. Thank you so much, group number one. So group number two, please approach the microphones. Those that work, of course. Okay, Philip, you're up. Select a person and state your question.
My name is Philip Aguirre. I'm running with Surrey Forward and Ginny Sims. I'm a small business owner, and I'm very careful of who I get into business with. Trust, integrity, these things are essential when developing relationships. So I guess my question is for Surrey Connect. Wants to be the leader and the mayor of the city of Surrey. She chose to run with another party, and we decided that integrity and trust was broken, but she made those decisions. Have you forgiven Brenda for making that decision?
Ramona Captain, and I'm running with Brenda Locke, and I'm very proud of the fact that I'm running with somebody who is such a fine, upstanding citizen. And my question would be, if you make a promise or if you say you're going to do something and then you find out that it's not the right thing to do, it's going to cost too much money, it's going to hurt the electorate, it's just the wrong thing. Do you just keep that promise and keep going? No, you don't. You have to use your intelligence and do something that's right.
Next candidate. Please select a person and state your question.
Nav Danoya, independent. As you can see, I'm not getting too many questions. So great being an independent. I have a question for Philip. Why did you choose to run with Ginny Sims?
Yeah. I'm running with Ginny Sims because I stated in my last question, integrity and trust and relationships are important to me. Now, Ginny and I have known each other for the last 8 years, being the executive director of the Newton BIA, and we've done lots of great projects together in the city. And I've supported a lot of the campaign promises that the NDP has supplied for the city of Surrey. I may be a small business owner, but I'm a leader in my community, and I'm looking for a city that includes everyone, not just big developers, not just people with mansions. I'm looking to improve affordable housing, improve mental health and addiction in the city, and Surrey Forward is the team to move the city forward.
Next candidate, Ramona.
Okay, my question is for Philip. Philip, you don't even live in Surrey. I realize that you have a business in Surrey and you pay business taxes, but you can't even vote for yourself. So why do you feel that it's important for you to represent Surreyites, of which you are not really one, because you can't vote in Surrey? You don't have any real skin in the game other than your business.
No skin in the game. Thank you for the question. My family has owned the Old Surrey restaurant for the last 48 years. My first bike was stolen at Unwin Park. My father started a small business and made sacrifice in this community. Creating a small business is no easy thing. There is always sacrifice. There's always hard work that has to be done to ensure that your employees are taken care of, your customer base is taken care of. That small business has been dedicated to this community. Now, I've been the executive director for the Newton Business Improvement Association for the last 8 years. My financial well-being is here. My future, my business is here. My wife would say that I live here. But family is important to me. And I have 3 small children, 12, 10, and 8. And we needed help. And my mother-in-law lives in Vancouver. My wife started at Simon Cunningham just on 140th. And we needed that.
Thank you. Next candidate.
I really wanted to ask my question to a member of the Surrey Safe Coalition. And okay, but I want to pick on Philip because it's y'all pick on Philip party tonight. So during the last election, Surrey Safe Coalition ran on a campaign promise to not have any Uber drivers in the city and no cannabis stores. So with your expertise in business associations, what did that decision to not have cannabis stores in the city of Surrey cost the city with business license?
Now, Philip Aguirre, Surrey Forward, Ginny Sims. We've gone on record of supporting marijuana dispensaries. One of the biggest problems in the city of Surrey is public safety, and illegal drug trade on our streets has been a problem. When the city of Vancouver has marijuana dispensaries, Langley has marijuana dispensaries, it costs the city permit dollars when we don't provide that service as well. We can put out marijuana dispensaries to decrease crime in our communities. So young youth, one of the questions earlier, don't have to buy their marijuana on the street corner or in a back alley. They can do it in a safe supply in a permitted, proper way with a plan.
Thank you. You may be seated. And group number 3, please approach the microphones. Group number 3. And Lori, you get to select first.
Okay. Paul or Rossetti, are you ready? Paul, what characteristics do you think that you personally have that will make you a good counselor?
Well, I cry a lot. My name's Paul Rossetti. I'm running with Surrey First. I don't know, as you get into this and you get older, you actually start to care more and you want to make sure that what your children will inherit will be there for them. And a lot of what's gone on right now, and because of the nature of my job, I see a lot of what I call it, people who've fallen through the cracks and things that aren't working. And we really need to kind of build a more positive spirit to come together and really deal with adversity. We have a beautiful city that should be the star of the whole country. And I think we have to learn how to speak to each other in a nicer way and be more cooperative. So that's part of where I'm at.
Paul, you're next.
I would ask you, Lori, what would you do to make things more positive on council?
Well, I think we live in a beautiful city. I think we exercise our democracy every time we're in a council meeting. The Safe Surrey Coalition right now has a majority on council, and we can get things done. We can't get anything done in most of the metro region because there's not a majority on council. So there's a lot of, opposition going on even in the metro region. But for me personally, I make the best decisions that I can at every chance that I can. And there's a lot of misinformation, I think, out there. We have had a lot of controversy going on in our city hall. We've had a lot of people not respect the process. And I think we've done the best job that we can in order to get our campaign promises through, like I said.
Thank you, Jasbir.
Thank you. It's Jasbir Sandhu. I'm with the United Surrey team, Saktal you all as the mayoralty candidate. My question is to, we are running a very positive campaign. The Surrey United.
Who's your
United
question
Surrey,
to? Who's your question to?
It'll be to the Safe Surrey.
To Lori?
Right. We are running a very positive campaign, and we are running on issues that matter to our community, whether it's public safety, accountability, whether it's little things that need to be done in the city, whether it's bringing an app that'll provide access to the community, whether it's parks and recreation that needs to be built.
What's your question? What's your question?
My question to her is, should a criminally convicted person should sit on the council?
A criminally convicted person, I don't know who you would be referencing. A criminally convicted, I don't know anybody that's been criminally convicted. Thank you.
Okay, so she responded. Thank you very much. Rena, who do you select?
So my question is for Lori, but it's based on the amounts that are being thrown around by another party with regards to the police transition. They're stating that it's over $500 million, but then the police board responded by saying it's over 60 million. Can you please speak to this?
Thank you very much for the question. There was an article in the Surrey Now Leader editorial page today written by the union representative, Rick Stewart, for the Surrey Police Service. And he talked about this, and it was a beautifully written article, very articulate. And he was criticizing some of these numbers being thrown around. They're just being picked out of thin air. Once we have approved, the city council was able to approve the police transition, changing the police force. But once the police chief is hired, there is civilian oversight on a police board, and they make the decisions for the policing. City council has nothing to do with it other than approving the budgets. So
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Group number 3. And group number 4, you're up at the microphones, please. And Bilal, you are first.
My question is, I was looking out into the crowd and I see my mom and I see my wife, I see my sister and I see my daughter. I'm wrapped with women in my life. But also in the last 4 years, we've seen a lot of negativity, personal attacks. And that's one of the reasons why I stepped up. I have a question. In the Safe Surrey Coalition website or online on their social media, women in our community, leaders in business were attacked, okay? And as a woman, Councillor Allison Patton. At any point in time, did you say that we shouldn't be doing this and attacking other people that are lifting up our community? Did you voice your concerns about the social media presence of Safe Surrey Coalition on?
Bilal, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
I'm referring to when Safe Surrey Coalition attacked our host, Anita Huberman, online on social media.
I'm not part of our online presence.
Okay, next candidate. Gord.
My question, Gordon Hepner, Surrey Connect. My question is directed at the Safe Surrey Coalition. The Surrey Board of Trade has their ear to the railway tracks of business in Surrey. Why did the Safe Surrey Coalition stop correspondence with the Surrey Board of Trade and stop?
Who's your question to?
Oh, Safe Surrey
To
Coalition.
Allison Patton.
Allison, I'm sorry.
Allison,
hi.
over to you.
Well, I've as recently as about, I'm not sure how long ago, but Anita and I have had many conversations over the years. So I don't know what you mean.
Allison, your question, please.
Oh, great. Okay. My question's for Julie. Julie, what are your favorite places in Surrey? Thank you, Allison. Wow, my brain's racing. The three that come to mind to start, I love the Patello Bridge, or the Portman Bridge, sorry. I go to Vancouver a lot. When I come home, I love this. I love the structure. I love the way it looks. It's a landmark for Surrey. It's fantastic. Secondly would be Crescent Beach. I love the water. I love waves. I love sunsets and sunrises. I love taking my family there for picnics. We love jumping off the wharf. Crescent Beach is an amazing part of our city. And I guess the third would be Stewart Historic Farm. I don't know if all of you know of that place. It's beautiful. It's an 1800 base one-room schoolhouse, and it has so much to offer. And those are three places that just came to my mind when you asked me that question. So thank you.
And Julie, your question, please.
My question's for you, Allison. When you think of this Surrey, what is something that you're passionate about? Thanks, Julie. The thing that I'm most passionate about are the people of Surrey. And I'm very lucky that I have two jobs, and both my jobs, I spend all day with people. And that's my very favorite thing. And the people of Surrey are my favorite people. I've been able to go to cultural events, business events. I get to see my patients as a naturopathic doctor every day. I get to see young people. Today I was in the park with some senior women, senior men, talking to them about what makes Surrey so great for them. But for me, I truly and totally love people. And I'm so lucky to have been able to have two jobs where I get to spend pretty much 7 days a week with people. So that's the thing I love about Surrey.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. And now we will go to closing remarks. Each of you have 2 minutes. And please speak into the camera and tell our Surrey residents why they should elect you. And just a reminder to state your name, please. So Linda, we will begin with you.
Thank you very much, Anita. My name is Linda Annis, and I'm a very proud Surrey resident. I've lived here for 22 years. Best decision I ever made was moving to Surrey. I have a very strong public safety background. I run the Crime Stoppers program for the Lower Mainland Policing District and have served on council now for the past 4 years. One of the things that I am very passionate about is making our city a safer place and getting our youth involved in activities that are great, and getting them out of gang activity. I've been proud to serve as the council liaison for the SAFE program, which empowers families and children that are at risk to choose a better path, a better lifestyle. I see Surrey as a great and wonderful place that is growing, and we need to provide the stewardship to the city to make sure that it becomes a place where we can live, work, play, and go to school. Right now, we're short of jobs. About 30% of the residents of Surrey that are employed commute outside. And the residents of Surrey are spending twice as much time in their cars than any other municipality in the Lower Mainland. We need to change that. We need to bring jobs here and bring a stronger tax base. We also have a downtown city that we need to build, not just putting lots of high rises here, but we need to bring office, we need to bring employment, and we need to bring education, as well as my very favorite topic, but the Arts Center. There's a lot of work to be done here. And I think one of the things that I'm also, I shouldn't say I think, that I am very proud about in Surrey is we are so culturally diverse. We really, truly are what Canada represents. And we need to take that and we need to embellish it and share it and celebrate it. And I'm very proud to and hope that I will be part to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ajit.
Ajit Mehat, Surrey First, Gordy Hogue, and the rest of the team. I do have prepared remarks, but I'm going to dispense with them, with apologies to others who may want to use theirs. I grew up in Surrey from the age of 10. So my experience and my love of Surrey goes back a long time. So I was educated here. And when it came to the issue of selecting a career, I had two choices. One was with the private sector. The other one was with the public service. I chose public service. The reason for that, and the public service of Canada, the reason for that was very simple. I felt I had a debt to repay to Canada for providing a welcoming home for my family and for myself when we came to Canada. And so that career took me to Ottawa and Toronto, Winnipeg, and other cities where I've had the chance to see how people live on a day-to-day basis in those cities. So I bring that experience back. But more importantly, I bring the experience of having accomplished some initiatives for the federal government at the national level. For example, finalizing the legal aid agreements with the provinces and the territories. And if you know the complexity involved in that kind of negotiation, we are still living with some of those complexities in the terms of the healthcare funding, which hasn't been finalized yet. So I bring that sense of how to execute great ideas. We have heard some really great ideas. We're going to hear some more, but great ideas are not worth the paper they're written on unless they can be executed properly. And that takes managerial experience, and it takes executive experience. And that's what I want to contribute.
Thank you. Next candidate.
My name is Joe Kennedy. I'm running with the council for the People's Council Surrey. I've entered politics because during COVID, I was looking for courageous leadership and someone to stand up for families and average Canadians, someone to ask important questions and look beyond the crisis at hand, to have the foresight to protect our values and freedoms. When I didn't see that, I felt compelled to enter politics. Up here, you've heard from other candidates about why they think they're the right fit for the job, as they push virtue signaling talking points and buzzwords that will cost you in the long run. But Surrey isn't great because of its politicians. Surrey is great because of its people, being free to follow their dreams. It's the everyday citizens that wake up and choose to make the most of their day. They know what's best for themselves, their families, and their community. We need a party who practices what they preach and truly respects you, the people, to make the best decisions in your lives. We are the party that stands with you. That's why our principles are honesty, transparency, and freedom. We don't subscribe to any identity politics. We believe that the right level of analysis for any situation is on the individual level. You choose your risk tolerance, your medical procedures, your charity, and your goals. We have a sound policy on letting businesses thrive, cutting red tape, lowering taxes, rehiring employees terminated under COVID mandates, confronting housing costs, protecting your future, and removing bad policy that is based on good intentions. I and the People's Council Surrey stand out as the party that wants to strengthen your resolve and protect your rights against mandates to provide for you and your family. No lockdowns, no closures, no mandates. If we allow the last 2 years to go without any pushback, what will happen during the next emergency? You are all essential. If we differ on policy details, know that my foundations are rock solid. I will not waver in my commitment to you to ask the difficult questions, to be accountable and accessible, to seek the truth, to be honest and transparent, and to put you at the forefront of my decisions so that you can continue to help make Surrey a world-class city. My name is Joe Kennedy with the People's Council Surrey, and I'm asking for your vote on October the 15th. Vote for honesty, transparency, and freedom, and vote for your future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate, please.
Over to City of Surrey first. Surrey is one of the fastest growing municipalities in Canada. Soon we are going to be the largest community in BC. City is that, this city is going to be the face of Canada, or actually, is the face of Canada. And what this city needs is a real plan and real leadership to actually get back on track. The current division at City Hall is not going to solve anything. What this city needs is a 10-year plan to build more actual recreational facilities for our children and their parents so they can enjoy it. Is that we need open, honest, and transparent government, and we need to have citizens engage in the decision-making process. We do not need to have things handed down to them by City Hall and say my way or the highway, because that simply doesn't work. What we need is real leadership, and I believe that Gordy Hogue and Surrey First, they provide leadership. They provide open accountability, and now is the time to get back to work, because together we can always do better. Thank you.
Next candidate, please.
I'm Stuart Drysdale with Safe Surrey Coalition. I've lived in Surrey for over 40 years, raised here, went to school here, and now I'm raising my family here. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to run for council, because I want to have a future here for my daughter and my son. I was able to live here, I was able to play here, I was able to work here, and I want the same for my kids. I want them to be able to live here, play here, and work here. The Safe Surrey Coalition has made several promises during this election, and the one thing you can count on with the Safe Surrey Coalition is we get it done. You may not agree with them all the time, but we get it done. We put SkyTrain to Langley, we're going to put SkyTrain to Newton, we're going to widen roads, we're going to put pools in Cloverdale and in Clayton Heights, we're going to put a pool in City Center, but we get it done. We don't make promises we can't keep, and that's why I decided to run the Safe Surrey Coalition. Thank you.
Next candidate, Jody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jody Tour, and I'm running for City Council with Surrey Forward and Ginny Sims as mayor. The first question I get a lot is, why are you running? My answer is very simple. I'm running for my two girls. We've made the choice to live, work, and raise our family here in Surrey. Because of this choice, I feel it's my duty to work to ensure the overall health of our community. I'm new to politics, but not new to community service. As an integrative practitioner, I have a clinic in Cloverdale. We're taught that we look at the wellness of the entire human system. Wellness is not simply defined as the absence of disease, but the overall state of being. The overall state being is impacted tremendously by our civil policies. If we're going to be healthy, happy, we must be a functioning city government committed to protecting our physical and mental wellness. How can we be well when too many of us are scared? We could be scared of the rising taxes, increased living costs, or the senseless violence on streets. We may be worried about the impact of climate change or our community and our families. I'm a person seeking counsel to ensure your overall well-being. I'm passionate about our city and the people who live here, and I work with a team to deliver real changes for workers and families across Surrey, to tackle the cost of living crisis and invest in our communities, to support workers and families who are struggling to heat their homes and put food on their table. As a local council, we must do everything possible to support people. Surrey has a huge potential to grow, thrive, and be a great place to live, work, and socialize. We have exciting times ahead. Surrey Forward, and I will continue the transformation of Surrey to grow the local economy, boost tourism by supporting local businesses to create jobs. Only by working together and promoting the opportunities that exist in our city will we deliver for people. I'm ready to work as your city council once elected on October 15th, along with my team. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Philip Aguirre, Surrey Forward, running with Ginny Sims. My family's owned the Old Surrey restaurant for the last 48 years, 15 years for myself. I'm the executive director of the Newton Business Improvement Association for the last 8 years. We've put on 160 events in those 8 years. We've done car-free days, Newton days, events in the alleys. We've done area enhancement, Christmas lights, banners, 11 murals. We pick up garbage, we remove graffiti. All of these programs come through the BIA, and we're very proud of those accomplishments. I'm also a certified professional accountant. I went to the University of Victoria and I have a Bachelor of Commerce. I also sit as the treasurer of Discover Surrey or Tourism Surrey. I'm also the treasurer of BIA BC. That's a provincial organization that represents all 70 BIAs throughout the province. There are only 4 BIAs in Surrey compared to 22 in Vancouver. We need more representation at the business level in all of our communities. We need more leaders, business leaders, being a Chamber of Commerce and Surrey Board of Trade. We need people to step up to get involved in civic politics, because business is important, small jobs are important, and that will drive our economy. Thank you so much for your time. I really want to thank the Surrey Board of Trade for putting this on. It takes a huge amount of effort to put on events like this. I've done a debate in the past, and Jazroop, top notch, buddy.
Next candidate, please.
Hi there, I'm Nav Danoy. I'm an independent candidate, so I'm not going to bore you with party lines, as you have heard. Think of me as a peacekeeper. So whoever you vote for, there's going to be some commotion, as there has been for the past 4 years. I am the guy who's going to keep the peace. So when the candidates or the mayors are not listening to their own candidates, you can call me and tell me, I will talk to them. Okay. Other than that, some of you know, I'm a bylaw officer by profession. I have been a bylaw officer for 20 years, working in various cities in the Lower Mainland. I worked with the business associations, homeless people, outreach workers, name it. Look at what's the main issue at this election. It's affordable housing. How do you make housing affordable? When your kids go to college, go to universities, they have a big chunk of student loan. Are they going to come back to your house, or can they afford a condo? Look at the prices of condos. Look at, can they make that mortgage payment? It's going to take 49 years, they're saying, to get your condo free. So what I'm saying to you is, take a look at the world. Take a look at the Singapore model. Take a look at the Finland model. Housing first. And how do you do that? A kid buys a condo for 250 grand. The government helps him. They pay a certain mortgage. It's like rent to own. You have to have that support from the government, whether it's federal, whether it's municipal, whether it's provincial. And it has to be with the help of developers. They can make tall buildings, but it has to be affordable. Thank you.
Next candidate.
Ramona Captain with Surrey Connect, and I want to say I'm very proud to be running with Brenda Locke, who has been on council now for 4 years. She can hit the ground running when she is elected with her Surrey Connect team. She knows what's been going on behind closed doors, and I feel she's the only good candidate for mayor in this election. Now, as for myself, I am very resilient. I have been kidnapped in Bangladesh. I've been mugged in Malaysia, and I've been trashed on Twitter, mainly by my friend here, Stuart Drysdale. So I think I'm quite resilient. I believe you have to be the change you want to see, and that's why I'm running. I have been a volunteer all my life and an advocate. I was honored to receive the 2022 Outstanding Canadian on the Peninsula Award and also a Queen's Jubilee Medallion the same year. I've worked with kids. I was a fundraiser for Kids Help Phone. Everybody knows what Kids Help Phone is, and also for children with autism. I have a great deal of experience on boards from chambers of commerce to hospital foundations. Currently, I'm the president of CARP, the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, and I'm also a director on that national board. I sit on several Surrey Board of Trade committees. I'm chair of the Seniors Advisory Committee of Seniors on the Move and a member of the steering committee for Semiahmoo Seniors Planning Table. By the way, to be a part of the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, you do not have to be a certain age, nor do you have to be retired to be part of it. I still work. I was a journalist, a teacher, a hotel managing director, a business owner, and a government information officer.
Thank you so much. Next candidate, please.
My father's here. Family means a lot to me. I remember when I was a kid, when I was 9 years old, my dad worked in the mill, the steel mill. On Saturdays and Sundays, he used to go to the airport. I found out later because I started going with him. But I always wanted to spend more time with him. He was always busy in the community. I got multicultural association meeting. I got this and that, always running. And he'd find time, squeeze time for us when we were young. I'm the youngest of 4 children. I started going with my dad. One day on Saturday morning, we went to the airport and he went inside, and at that time, you know, there was little small TVs. He'd write down different flights that would have people coming from where he was from, the subcontinent. And then he would grab hot chocolate from me, grab a coffee, grab the papers, and we'd go sit at the south end of the runway, at the east side of the south runway. And then when the time hit, he'd go back and he would stand around looking for people that didn't have a ride or no one to greet them. We lived in the 2-bedroom basement, and he'd bring them over to the basement. My mom would prepare food for them, and my dad would help them find shelter and also take them to Manpower to find them jobs. Without fanfare, no Facebook, no nothing. He was my inspiration, and I didn't realize how much happiness he got from helping others. And ever since that time, I've always strived to find that happiness. I told my dad, I promised him, I'll never be on an association. I'll never have a position. I'll never take a title, but I'll never say no to help. And that's what I've been doing for the last 25 years in the community. Anyone calls or don't call, I offer my help. This is who I am. This is at my core, through my dad's example, this is who I am. And I stepped up because I think this.
Thank you so much. Next candidate, please.
You know what? I don't, anyways, sorry. I'll just dance around the stage and dance around the questions. My name is Miriam Waddington. I've lived in Surrey for over 40 years. I've raised my 2 children here. I've gone to school, and raising kids is why I'm involved, because I'm a mom, and you look at what your kids are going through and you see how you can help. And you want to be involved in, like Bilal was saying, it comes down to service. You want to give back to your community, and you want to make the world a better place for your children. And my concern in getting involved in this election really stemmed from my concern about climate change and environment and what's going to happen with that. And we know that cities are where people live. This is the first line that you're going to put on any envelope that you might still actually be mailing. It's city, province, country. We live in our cities, and we need to look at ways in which cities can mitigate climate change and reduce the risks of it. We can look at having green roofs on industrial buildings. We need to make sure that there's heat pumps and other systems going into new developments. We need to make sure that there's better access for public transit all across the city. We need to protect our ALR because we like to eat, we like to have clean air, and we like clean water. And cities have an important role, and I want to step up for that challenge, and I want to do it from a place of service. And I'm so excited to be running with Gordy Hogue and Linda Annis and the rest of the Surrey First team. We're working hard and we want to make a positive difference. We know together we can do better. Thank you.
Next candidate, please.
I'm just not sure if that's going to work so well. Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Guerra. And I first of all wanted to thank the Surrey Board of Trade, Saba, for putting this debate on, or the council candidates meeting on. I also wanted to take a minute just to thank all these individuals that are seated up here on the stage, on this side and on this side, and those that in the audience that are running for council. Hats off to you. It's no small feat to put your life on hold, to put your family's life on hold, and to run. And I think it's highly commendable that you do that. And I think it's wonderful that you're doing it. I've been a councillor for the last 4 years, and I still feel very humbled and honored to have been elected. But for me, this election is a very different election than was the one in 2018, because now I've been in office and I have a track record. And in my opinion, it's a proven track record. I did what I said I was going to do. I didn't change my mind. And some of us that are running have given promises. I've been in a campaign where people said over 100 speeches that on day one, they were going to do this. And when we got into council, we unanimously voted for a few things that first day in our inaugural meeting. And it's not been, you know, a walk in the park. There has been opposition. There have been people showing up at my home. The police had to be called. There's people that have sworn at me and yelled at me and screamed at me all over the city and harassed me. And you know what? It's because I made a decision. I made one vote. And I'm proud of that vote. I'm proud of my track record that I stood the test, and I decided to be true to my word. And that's all I have. So I'm running with the Safe Surrey Coalition. Very proud to do that.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. Next candidate, please.
Does it work? All right, here we go. The cry guy. All right, well, I'll move over here. I think our slogan is together we can do better. And I think part of that's so important right now in this city. I'm blessed to have an amazing team of people who are passionate about the city and actually are doing things to make it better. So a lot of this right now, we have a mayoralty candidate that has a PhD, and I have homework. And believe it or not, there's a lot of knowledge and information out there that we have to use and learn from. We're not the only city on the planet. A lot of what we're doing now has to bring us together. A lot of what's going on right now is people like Anita and the Surrey Board of Trade have to play a bigger role in helping us get more businesses in this area, which are going to provide more jobs and keep people working in town. There's 7 business organizations, 8 with Saba. All of us need to come together and learn how to work as humans. A lot about being a politician is not about money, or hopefully the crooked ones, but you know, the ones that care, they're here for the buzz you get from helping people. Penny Pretty is an outstanding person who I have differences with her politics, but this person has a soul bigger than this building. And you know what? When you start to realize that it's so important to learn how to respect each other, work together, this can be a great city. We don't necessarily need to be the biggest, we should be the best. A lot about what we're doing right now is just like all those slogans. I worked in advertising, so I tend to bring back a lot of that. Avis had a great one. They're number 2 and we're trying harder. And that's a lot of what Surrey's all about. So thank you for an opportunity to do that. I do want to put passion in the city, and I want to rebrand it and make us the best in the whole country. So God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next candidate.
Thank you, Anita. Again, thank you for putting this wonderful event together so that our electorate could be informed about each slate and each person that's on the stage here. And thank you guys all being here, and thank you for being here, and those of you that are looking at this from your homes or online. My name is Jasbir Sandhu, and I'm running with United Surrey Slate. and along with Sukh Taliwal as the mayoralty candidate. I've lived in Surrey for 42 years, and I've gone to elementary school, high school, went on to get my bachelor's from Simon Fraser. Then while I was working, got my MBA from Royal Roads. Surrey has been home to me for 42 years. And as a former parliamentarian, I've seen the potential that Surrey has, the young people that are here, the diversity we have. However, that potential has not been realized in the last 4 years. We've had a lack of leadership from the city hall, from the mayor and the council. I've never seen council so divisive, so destructive, and frankly, very dysfunctional. And, you know, I remember council is supposed to be working for people that elect them. The mayor and the council is supposed to be working for the people that have elected them. And I don't see that. I haven't seen that. Instead, this mayor and council have been working for few of their friends. Select few while all the other ones are not getting their work done. Again, I ask all of you at home here to look at our website.
Thank you very much. Next candidate, please.
Rena Gill. If my name sounds familiar to you, it's because this is not my first rodeo. I have run in previous elections. I missed getting elected by 1 spot in 2 elections. Heartbreaking, but I'm still here. Why am I still here, folks? Because I'm committed to the community. I want to prove myself. I've been consistent. I've shown the community, I've paid back the community by doing a free trade show biannually prior to COVID. We just had another one on September 17th. It's called the Surrey Health and Wellness Expo. It's a free trade show for the community, for Surrey residents. Can you believe we do not have a health and wellness show in Surrey? Most residents have to go to the Vancouver Convention Center if they want to attend, or go to Abbotsford TradeX or Langley Event Center. So I started it in 2018. In 2011, I started it for the South Asian community. In 2018, I started it for the mainstream community. So what it basically is Surrey residents can come, they can get free health testing. They can do demos, speak with experts, doctors, health professionals, sample products. I want to make this part of my mandate. If I get elected for Surrey City Council, I want to declare May Surrey's Health and Wellness Month, and I want to do the Surrey Health Expo on a regular basis. I want to do health conferences where we invite Fraser Health Authority, where we invite all levels of government. We sit down and we talk about how can we alleviate pressure from the healthcare system? How can we make Surrey residents healthier? We all know mental health is a big issue as well. One of the things that I also do is I publish the Surrey Health Magazine. This is a free publication for the entire community. I do this, folks, to exemplify my commitment and exemplify my passion. For more information about my platform, please visit voterenagill.ca. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next candidate, please.
Good evening. My name is Gordon Hepner. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Winnipeg, and well, that was a good place to be from before I moved to Surrey. Did my elementary school in Surrey and my high school in Surrey. Eventually moved away to university and then spent my summers in Surrey working for the city. I started in the Parks and Recreation Department, Treasury, Engineering, Pumps and Controls. Finally, I ended my short career at the City of Surrey and moved on, and I'm now a business owner in Surrey. I have a notary practice and deal with land development and other people's needs, which would be estate planning and whatnot. I teach at the People's Law School when they put on seminars, and I'm a proud member of this community. I want to earn your vote and respect on council, and I'm with Brenda Locke and Surrey Connect, and I hope that I can earn your vote by giving you my ear on any issue that you may have. And that means whether it's an issue that is not on our policy or on our policy, because our job as councillors and everybody up here is to listen to the public. And I want you to keep that in mind when you're going to the ballot box and when you're using your logic and picking that team. Thank you very much.
Next candidate, please.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Anita and the Board of Trade, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, Saba, and Isle of Man. It's been my honor to serve the City of Surrey with the Safe Surrey Coalition over the past 4 years. Safe Surrey Coalition, we get it done. As soon as we're elected, this is what we'll do. We're going to put a SkyTrain to Newton. We're going to have a 60,000 person stadium in Fleetwood where it's on the SkyTrain line. No cars will be going there. We're going to speed up our planning process. And there's some roads we're going to 4-lane. We will 4-lane 132, 128, 152, and 80th. And we're going to punch through 72nd all the way. We're going to put 2 new pools beyond the Newton one that we're already putting in. We'll put one in Clayton and we'll put one in City Center. I hope you're listening over there. We're going to put some walking paths and picnic tables in a lot of our parks and some pickleball courts have been asked for in Fraser Heights, City Center, and Cloverdale. My name's Allison Patton. Thank you very much. Vote Safe Surrey Coalition. We get it done.
And our final candidate, please.
Good evening. I'm running for City Council as it finally feels like the right time for me to continue the legacy of public service that my father started a long time ago. He immigrated here from Trinidad and Tobago in the 50s to go to UBC. After completing his degree, he started his career here in the City of Surrey. He was the city's first Director of Parks and Recreation. His career in public service spanned over 30 years and was a huge inspiration to me. After completing my undergraduate degree in political science, I went on to do my master's in educational administration. I taught in the downtown East Side for over 10 years, which allowed me to work with many diverse groups. In 2008, my husband and I moved to Surrey to raise our family. Now that our girls are 16 and 18, I feel that I have the time to finally give back to this city that has given so much to me and my family. Now more than ever, we need a city hall that will give a voice back to our wonderful citizens. Now more than ever is the time to bring back integrity to the leadership of this amazing city. If elected, I'll work towards these important goals and continue the legacy that my father established so long ago. Please vote United Surrey on October 15th.
Everyone, a round of applause for our candidates, please. Thank you so much to the South Asian Business Association of British Columbia, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, the Surrey Now Leader newspaper, and of course, our series sponsor, IOM Property Group. Thank you so much. Remember to vote on October 15th. For those of you in the room and watching digitally, make it a great business week. Thank you.